On April 11th of 2021, another black man, Daunte Wright, was killed by law enforcement during a traffic stop in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, a mere 10 miles from the site of George Floyd's death. And the incident has sparked outrage and sent hundreds of protesters back into the streets. Now, this comes right in the middle of the trial of the state of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin over the death of George Floyd. And as the mayor of Brooklyn Center stated, he said this could not have come at a worse time. So we're going to get you caught up to speed as to all of the details that we are aware of as of the filming of this episode as to these tragic events. My name is Joshua Roberts, attorney at law, and you are watching Lawyer Up. In today's episode, we're going to look at the incident which led to the death of Daunte Wright. They have now released the name of the officer, who happens to be a female, who apparently shot Wright by accident. And we're also going to look at the response from protesters and from the community. Hey, if you like the episode, hit that like button for me. If you got something to say, comment below. Let me know what you think about this particular incident. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would invite you to do so. And as always, I love it when you guys share me on social media. And remember that Lawyer Up is now available in all major podcast formats. So let's get to it. On Monday, the police department released the body cam footage from the officers that were involved in this incident. And Police Chief Tom Gannon made a public statement. And based upon the footage and the statements, here's what happened. There was a traffic stop made of Daunte Wright's vehicle. He had expired tags on the vehicle. Now, upon running Wright's information, the officers discovered he had an outstanding warrant, which prompted the arrest. Now, while standing outside of his vehicle, he started to be handcuffed, and Daunte Wright breaks free. A struggle ensues, and he gets back in his vehicle in an attempt to flee. So then Officer Kim Potter, who is a 26-year veteran of the Brooklyn Center Police Department, she steps up and yells, "Taser!" She says this 3 times. Then she draws her duty weapon instead of her taser and fires 1 shot. She immediately says, "Oh, beep, I shot him." We're not exactly sure yet what she said, but we can assume it was a cuss word. Now, this all went down within 10 miles from where George Floyd was killed in police custody last May. Wright, in this particular instance, was shot once, and he actually died shortly after being shot. However, immediately upon being struck, he drove the car away, traveling several blocks before he hit another vehicle and then ultimately passed. Now, Wright's death has set off protests and unrests, and on Sunday night was ruled a homicide by the Hennepin County Medical Examiner. That's the same office that declared the homicide with George Floyd in his case. And during news conferences, several community members have made statements in regard to the police department and their actions. In a statement from the NAACP National President Derek Johnson, he said Wright should be alive today. He went on to say whether it was carelessness or negligence or a blatant modern-day lynching, the result is the same. Another black man has died at the hands of the police. The Brooklyn Center mayor, Mike Elliott, said that the shooting was deeply tragic, and he agreed that the officer who fired the shot should be fired. He later announced that city council had given his office command authority over the police department. He indicated this would help streamline things and help establish a chain of command for leadership. This obviously set off a lot of unrest in Brooklyn Center, which is a suburb of Minneapolis. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz imposed a curfew and said that they have the largest police presence in Minnesota history in and around that area right now. Despite that, crowds began gathering outside of the Brooklyn Center police station Monday afternoon, with hundreds of people showing up by nightfall with frequent chants of Daunte Wright. About 90 minutes after curfew began, police started firing gas canisters and flashbang grenades in an attempt to disperse the crowd. However, a lot of people in the crowd were ready for this. A lot of protesters were wearing gas masks, and they were picking up smoke canisters and throwing them back towards the police. Ultimately, about 40 arrests were made, ranging from curfew violations to rioting by the Minnesota State Police. This incident also sparked protests from around the nation. There were demonstrations in New York City where protesters blocked roads, but no arrests were made. A crowd gathered in Oakland, California. About 200 protesters marched towards the police precinct in Portland, Oregon. In Louisville, Kentucky, where Breonna Taylor was shot by police over a year ago, protesters blocked traffic with tables and chairs. In Los Angeles, there was another group that got together. And there are people all around the country that are, again, rallying because of this type of an incident. Even Vice President Kamala Harris got in on the action. Here was her tweet. "Prayers are not enough. Daunte Wright should still be with us. While an investigation is underway, our nation needs justice and healing, and Daunte's family needs to know why their child is dead. They deserve answers." And that's from the vice president. So that's what we know about this incident at this time. Assuming traditional protocol, the officer will probably be fired. This is a different scenario than with George Floyd's case, as this one appears entirely accidental. So we're looking more with the involuntary manslaughter type of charges rather than the murder charges that we saw leveled against Derek Chauvin for his actions with George Floyd. Regardless, it'll be interesting to see how this situation unfolds. As more details come out, I will share them with you. We'll see how the protests unfold. We'll also see how potential criminal charges against the officer are filed. So that's the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button for me. If you got something to say about the situation, then comment below. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel for me. And as I mentioned, I love it when you share me on social media. My name is Joshua Roberts, attorney at law, and you've been watching Lawyer Up.
Send lawyers, guns, and money.